In a world that trades on lofty stylings and grand honorifics, today's move is seismic.
Buckingham Palace has announced that Prince Andrew is returning his royal and military titles to the Queen.
As a former Royal Navy officer, this means a dozen positions have now been stripped away, leaving him with just His Royal Highness, which he will not be permitted to use in any official capacity.
This is really the effective end of the Duke of York's life in the working royal family.
The decision was announced just one day after a New York court declared Virginia Giuffre's sexual assault civil case against the Prince could proceed. The palace saying,
"The Duke of York will continue not to undertake any public duties and is defending this case as a private citizen."
It kind of feels like they've been untouchable for a long time. So maybe it's a sign of a good change.
All this took place just hours after the Queen received a letter from more than 150 military veterans who described their upset and anger over the Prince's ongoing military role.
I think we all wished that he had taken matters into his own hands much earlier on, stepped back to clear his name. That would have been the right thing to do. But as the time ticks on, these decisions are taken out of his hands, and that makes his position more and more difficult, and as we've seen now, untenable.
Andrew continues to deny Giuffre's accusations, but today it seems that the path back to royal life has been closed to him forever.
Well, Juliet Reardon is editor-at-large for the Australian Women's Weekly. She joins us now. Juliet, the Queen was under a lot of pressure to distance the palace from Prince Andrew. We keep hearing he is her favourite son. How difficult would this move have been for her?
Look, I think it would have been very difficult indeed. As you say, at the end of the day, Andrew's her son. I'm not sure it's entirely true that he's her favourite son, but they've certainly always been very, very close. And Andrew has always vehemently protested his innocence. And as his mum, I'm sure the Queen believes him and wants to support him. But ultimately, as we have seen all the time throughout her reign, the Queen puts duty and the monarchy first. And in this instance, Prince Andrew is bringing the brand of the monarchy into disrepute, and that had to be addressed.
So if the court case goes badly for Andrew, will the royals be insulated from that fallout, or do you reckon the public is just not going to know the difference?
Look, I think a lot depends on what comes out in court. It certainly won't be easy for the royal family. But I think since Andrew stepped back after that train crash royal interview on BBC, which really started all of these problems for the royal family. And now, of course, that he's been stripped of his military positions, his patronages, his HRH, at least he no longer represents the monarchy. And I think that's the important distinction. And I think the public respect that is what the monarchy is doing here, and that the modern monarchy, the core of the monarchy, is still very much doing the right thing.
Buckingham Palace has made it clear that Andrew is going to be defending himself in court as a private citizen. Does that mean that the Queen definitely won't be lending him any money if and when the money runs out? Because the costs for this court case are going to be huge.
Yes, Lisa. I mean, this is literally the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, I think there's certainly no way the Queen would use public money to pay for Prince Andrew's legal costs. There's no way that would happen. She may, of course, help him with her personal money, but I don't think she would ever bankroll any payment of damages to Virginia Giuffre should Andrew lose that case. He'll definitely have to pay that money himself if that happens. And many predict that will run into millions. So he's going to be in very hot water there.
And it's just a few weeks until the Queen marks her Platinum Jubilee. Despite the best efforts, is it going to overshadow that?
I think it could, yes. I mean, the public interest in Andrew is huge, as we have seen from today's coverage. That 70th anniversary of the Queen's accession to the throne, which, you know, let's not forget, is also the anniversary of her father, King George VI's death. That happens on February the 6th. And celebrations for the Platinum Jubilee will run throughout the year, centering on a 4-day pageant at the beginning of June. Andrew's court case, if it goes ahead, is likely to be a few months after that. And the circus in the build-up to that court case is happening all at the wrong time. So this should be a year of celebration for the royal family and for the House of Windsor. And it's, you know, it's all going to mush at the moment, isn't it?
Certainly is. Juliet, thanks so much for your time.
Pleasure.
Of course, this has been going on for a couple of years since these allegations first surfaced. And I had a look today to go back to when Buckingham Palace first reacted to these allegations. And it's worth having a look at what the Palace statement was in 2019. It is emphatically denied that the Duke of York had any form of sexual contact or relationship with Virginia Roberts. Any claim to the contrary is false and without foundation. Now, the change in attitude, you know, compared to the statement that was put out overnight, the royal family completely stepping back from any kind of support to Andrew. And that's just in 2.5 years that's happened. So,
I mean, maybe they're privy to some of the evidence that is before the court or that may be before the court in the future, and they're like, I don't want to be close to that.
Well, I think this was the point that we were chatting about earlier. If the court case goes ahead, which it looks like it will, it's going to happen in the US. It's not going to be on their home turf. They're not going to be able to control what gets said. You know, maybe it gets filmed. It's become untenable for him to remain in the role that he's in.
And Juliet was talking there about the next generation of royals and how they're shifting the narrative. But two of the really significant entries into this new generation of royals is Andrew's two daughters, Eugenie and Beatrice. That's going to be awkward, what the Queen decides to do with them.